Good morning. This is Judy and Chris from Artistic Artifacts, kind of the, I don't know.
Dog and Pony Show.
Dog and Pony Show, yes. I was thinking of something a little more complimentary.
The dynamic duo.
There you go. That's what it is. And we're here to talk to you about Lesley Riley's new book. And we want to tell you, first of all, you need to buy this. If you're doing any kind of mixed media, working with any photos, just go to the website, hit the button, put it in your cart, because you're going to want it.
And it's in stock.
And it's in stock. It is ready to ship. So anyway, just we could cut to the chase right there. We do also have 2 classes up on our website that Lesley Riley will be teaching at Artistic Artifacts. Please don't wait to sign up for those. I know if you know, it's always better to put that you're doing something and put that date for that class on the calendar rather than waiting until you get close enough to see what else. Because you won't come up with a better offer. I can assure you, not a better offer. You will love both of these classes with Lesley Riley.
I think the one,
yes,
the picture shows this Clara Barton quilt, and this class is the first one, and it's more about using your photos.
Yes.
It's not a quilt construction one.
Right.
It's more about how to manipulate your photos, which I think the front part of the book
based on the
awesome
book. Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
this is. I just can think of so many hours. I scanned photos. I stalked Flickr. I pulled. I mean, I just am like so. Which app do I use to do this? I'm like, oh, I don't have to do it on my computer anymore. I can. She says most of it can be done on the phones.
Yes.
Oh my gosh!
And in the back, she's got photo resources. So, if you know Judy's style and Lesley's style, they use a lot of vintage photos, orphan families and whatever. But she gives all kinds of resources for finding photos if you don't have your own orphan family.
Right. If you don't. Oh, yay! Okay. Hi, Lesley.
Good morning, Lesley.
Great. I'm so excited about this book. I saw my one little piece in it, and it's just amazing. So, we do have other announcements, but I'm really excited about the book, as you can tell, because I'm like glued to the ceiling already, and no coffee. Creative Summit has spaces available. Please, we have teachers coming in from outside the areas, Washington State, California. We need to know we have the numbers to support them coming. It's a big deal when you have to pay lodging and airfare and those things that happen when we start bringing people in from the outside. We have finally gotten a contract with Hilton in Alexandria for a special rate. We have to get the link from them and get that up, so we finally will have that happen.
Is that the Hilton that's right at the King Street Metro?
Right at the King Street Metro. Lots of places to eat and go out to within walking distance of Old Town. It's really spectacular.
Well, and I think there's a trolley that goes from the Metro down to the waterfront that's free. So it's a wonderful time of the year. And Alexandria, if you go to visit Alexandria, go to their social media site or their website. It's one of the top 3 destinations for vacations in the country. Yeah.
Our little Alexandria.
Yes.
It's amazing. So that's definitely, please take a look at that, and we promise we'll get the link up as soon as we can get it from the hotel. But the business, we're located on Eisenhower Avenue, and there is a Marriott and there's an Holiday Inn on Eisenhower. There's a Spring Hill on Eisenhower. So if you're searching for places to go,
when you've got points
or some, you need to stay in a specific place. And there is a Comfort Inn.
Yeah.
Is that on
right at Van Doren?
Van Doren.
So $4.95.
Yeah. So you definitely, if you pull up Artistic Artifacts 4750, it'll tell you the hotels that are located close. So that being said. And we have, before that, May 5th, 3rd, I was going to say the 3rd, we have Scott Fortunoff from Jaftex. We will spend the evening having a discussion with him. He'll be in the store. We'd love to see some show and tell for those of you who do come. Mostly our store buys Free Spirit. We have trunk shows. They sent us a list of the quilts that are going to come. So we're very excited about those things. That's going to be a great evening. We do have a registration fee. That registration fee handles a little bit of the expenses, but most of it will be donated for Food for Others. We'll have a way for you to donate additional money, or if you want to bring items, please bring them, but please look at the website, Food for Others. I think there is a crisis about school snacks for kids, and they have specific listings of what they need.
Well, and with the SNAP benefits being cut,
yes.
There really is food insecurity is getting worse
everywhere
instead of better.
Right.
It's not just that it was during the pandemic. It's still there.
Yeah. So those are the ones. So okay. So now back to my new favorite book. Yeah, I love the fact that she gives us directions about apps, and that she's telling us that so much of this can be done on a phone. And telling us, because I'm not really an experimental person. Like, I won't sit there and go, okay, well, let's download this app and see what it does. I want somebody who's tried the app and worked it and says, just do this one, Judy. It's okay. Lesley's done that for us, so I really, really appreciate that. So that was my huge find, because I do love pictures. And Lesley, I have a blast from the past from you guys. We met in 2006. I took a class with Lesley. This is her first, one of her photographs that she brings to class, and it was on transfer artist paper, and that was the first time I had experienced it. And in 2006, I was just kind of getting into quilting. 2005, 2006, I still, was not doing much in quilting. And for me, I always thought I was unusual in how I looked at using mixed media things and pictures and that kind of stuff. And Lesley supported that it was okay. I wasn't totally crazy. It was nice. So that was a really great takeaway for that.
I think the other thing, well, there's a lot of things about the book, but one of the things that I liked about the book, one of many things I liked about the book, is it wasn't, the book that came out a couple years ago was all about using transfer artist paper. So it gave us lots of ideas on how to use transfer artist paper, which is an awesome, I've used it, you've used it.
I love it,
for years. We were thrilled when it came back out again in a new formulation. But the new book talks about printing on fabric, using spoon flour, using all different fabrics and substrates to print on, so it's not just tap, which it has its own hand, it has its wonderful qualities, and it has its limitations, so it depends on really what you're working with. And she explains that really well.
I thought that was nice. So we had some of the surfaces that we sell and are in stock. The cotton lawn, the extravaganza, which is a silk. Chris will show you how she used it, which is really pretty cool. And then there's a silk piece. There is a lot of different types. They are prepared. They work with inkjets so that they do not fade, they do not wash out, they don't do any of those things. And Lesley does talk about that as well.
Well, and in the gallery part, as I was explaining to Judy this morning, one of the artists, she actually suggested a fabric called Fabric on Demand that you can print on that, and it holds up, the print will hold up if you over dye the picture.
Yes, that was so cool.
That is, and hers, we'll show you a couple of those samples, but the gallery part was cool.
really,
so
really.
We could show them the book.
We could. Well, why don't we show them what's in there? You talk about your quilts, and then we'll show them what we both have in there.
So actually, Lesley invited us and other artists who she knew used photos in their work. So she invited me to participate based on this quilt, which is 40 years after the 0 years. And this was at Sacred Threads, and then it was in the Forced to Flee Global Exhibition for SAQA. But in these, I used photos.
Chris, 1 second, what's SAQA?
SAQA is the Studio Art Quilt Association.
And it's open to anyone. Please check their website.
And so I knew I wanted to do a memory quilt of a trip to Cambodia in the killing fields. And I had been collecting fabrics, not with that in mind, but with the colors in mind. Mm-hmm. And so I had taken a class here with Cindy, mm-hmm. and it was using different surfaces. So I had those. So this was a wonderful way to put it together, but it shows you this is on burlap, this is on printed fabric. I mean, this is a fabric with, I mean, it's a commercial fabric.
Yeah, with print.
But Lesley saw this and she invited me to participate. So that's how I got into the book. So then the quilt I created is, it's a fabric collage, and it's all from photographs, many photographs I took during the pandemic, walking in the Mary Livingston Ripley Gardens at the Smithsonian. And I just found that was either my starting point or my ending point for probably bi-weekly walks for about
really
2
good
years.
About that. You walked and walked. That was
and
great.
What I found was every time I went, obviously there were different seasons, there were different things in bloom. I focused a lot of the photos that I took with the birdhouse. So then when I went to put the piece together, well, when I started to the concept, it was like, okay, how do I make these into an art quilt? So I have pieces where I use Waterlog. If you've never used Waterlog, it's a great app where it is on your phone, on your iPad. Put your picture in there, you hit watercolor, and you get, let me see, I should have one like this. Well, this one is actually, that one is not a good example, but you get a picture.
That's what you're getting in these sections here.
So it gives you, like it's a watercolor.
Right.
That's all it does. You don't have to do anything more. There's different options you can pick. I like the very first one. So these were actually from using that. These were from blowing up some pictures.
Are these little squares, or did you stitch them into squares?
So I took a piece like this, because quilters do crazy things, and I cut it into...
You did weave it.
No, I sewed them back together.
Oh.
So I cut them into 1.5-inch strips, and then I sewed them back together. So that's what these two are. And then I decided I was trying to mimic the colors in the different places, and then where did they fit. One of the things that Lesley does suggest is that you, as you're working on a quilt, that you print what you want on paper, the size that you want. So this is the birdhouse, and this is actually a piece of tap, and I've actually put a piece of organza on top of it. So both of them are printed, but I did it the size so when I'm laying out my collage, I could see what that looked like.
And there's your watercolor effect in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some of us just go for broke.
So this one is the same thing. It's like, here was the one I wanted. How did I fit it on there? And then how did I, match it up? So the background fabric actually was a piece, and I did several of these. These are from Spoonflower. So I actually blew the pictures up, had them printed on Spoonflower, the size that I wanted, and then you can see I've cut something out of there to include. It's probably this right here. And then you can...
I love this part here. I think that's so cool.
And then the same is, this is multiple pieces to get the steeple. This is a piece of tap, and then I have some printed Spoonflower and some other pieces cut out, so it is all layered. And one of the directions in doing these is you're working from a base up.
Layers are always
great. So you start with a base, whether it was a whole, I could have started with this whole quilt like this and layered up. I chose to use a piece of felt and cut pieces to fit and layer. And then these last pieces, this is the silk organza. This is silk organza to give that shadow effect. It's exact same print as what's underneath, but it gives just a different look to it.
Yeah.
But you're building your quilt.
We have a sample, something like that. So here's the butterfly. Is that what you did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So here's transfer artist paper on fabric. That's a butterfly. But then look at what happens when you add a piece of organza, and you just get such movement and direction from a really little piece. You could sew this little piece right onto something that you wanted, but it's that 3 dimension of having those 2 layers that's really fun.
Yeah. And then the other piece that you're doing it is, why it's on your design wall, is figuring out, okay, how does this, all of the fabric I put Misty Fuse on the back. So before I even start designing or cutting up, it's all been Misty Fused. But then it's like, okay, when I start to layer, how am I going to iron the Misty Fuse? Which pieces get down first? So I'm not ironing the tap first and then going and ironing the others, because the tap is a little bit harder to work with an iron. You need a parchment paper. The other is, how are you going to stitch it down? This isn't heavily stitched. If you quilt on or stitch on tap, you do get holes, so you have to think ahead, where do I want the quilting, where do I want to stitch it down?
Well, and you're a master of hand stitching too, so
I didn't do as much hand stitching.
I know that was hard for you, I think.
And the reason I didn't do as much hand stitching, and this was my bad, was I put my batik backing on before I did my hand stitching. So to have layers of fabric,
and the batik too,
and the Misty Fuse and the batik, when I started to do some French knots, it was like, this is way more. I probably will go back and do some, but I was pretty close to the deadline that the publisher, and actually we need to say C&T Publishing did an absolutely beautiful job. And how nicely the book is done is, you can see, I mean, Kyle's getting some really good shots, but the publisher and Lesley put
photography is
absolutely
awesome.
Gorgeous photography, and
so accurate. Do we have any questions going, Kyle?
No, but Lesley said don't forget about the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll get that at the end. Yes. Well, actually, to talk about it.
Do we have a schedule for the podcast?
May 2nd is her first podcast.
Okay.
She has a teaser. It's on Spotify. But it was interesting because what she did was, we did a Zoom call with each individually. And Lesley asked me, instead of, she said, how did you make that quilt? I can't figure it out. Is it one piece of fabric, or is it collaged? So we had a really fun conversation. So I look forward to that.
Well, and it's always nice to have a conversation in person. It was like, and she said that's why I wanted to do Zoom, not just to talk about it, but to actually see your face, and so it was really
well.
Great,
And I was pulling out other quilts and said, because I showed her, this is another piece just to show you. This is actually on organza.
And Sharon's dropped the link for the podcast in the comments for everybody who's watching.
So this is another piece from the same, from the Smithsonian, the same garden. But I printed it when I did it was a little bit more wintry colors. And when I did it on waterlog, it came into these nice purples and blues. But the organza was great to stitch on. This is all with painter's thread. So, lots of ways. Your memory quilt, and I think that was actually the first question Lesley asked us, is what's the first thing you think about when somebody says memory quilt? And I said, it's usually photos of a family or whatever, and it doesn't have to be. It can be
an event,
inspiration, anything. Yes.
See, mine was inspired. We recently, like probably in the last 5 years, or maybe, anyway, I'm able to go to Florida for some time in January. And I had really never been to Florida, maybe a college spring break, but we don't want to go there. That was a long time ago. But so I was able to, it was a long time ago. Kyle's giving me the bug
eyes. And you never took your child to Disney World?
No, I never took my child to Disney World.
It's okay, I don't like the rides.
Anyway, so we go and we start looking at I swear Florida is just the whole place, all the birds in the whole universe go there. And again,
snowbirds too.
Snowbirds too, yes. And I never really paid attention. So we went to this place that was called, it's a hatchery, and it's this little island in the middle of this pond, and you go at dusk, and all kinds of birds all come flying in from everywhere, and there's all kinds of mixed birds on this island. And it was just so, the whole experience of it was like, oh,
it's like magical.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, maybe I should start tracking birds and be a bird watcher. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. But it was just really cool. And then we went back to where we stayed, and I'm looking out the back door going, all those birds are here. I didn't have to go to the hatchery. But it was all this dusk change, and that they all came. I mean, they had herons on the same one as little birds, big birds, herons. How did these herons stay on these bushes, these branches? Why did they not fall? How did they sleep? Anyway, it got me really going. So my piece was kind of a memory of spending that time with birds who I had really never stopped to notice before. And it was an evolution of things that happened here. I tend to just kind of throw things around, and all of a sudden stuff kind of puts itself together. But this back piece was hand-dyed, and I had been doing a little demo on using a Bernina stitch regulator. So that piece was there. Of course, I never threw it out, always kept it. Then this piece here is paper. So this is paper on muslin. So that was another demo. And it was painted, it was stamped, it was showing somebody how you can mix paper and fabric together. And so I had that piece. And this piece is craft text. So I know craft text has started giving you colors already, but I dyed the craft text, and boy does it dye nicely.
I was going to say, because it shows how your different colors.
All you see this. I like the variation.
Do you lay it flat when you do it instead of sticking in your jars?
No, I roll it up in my jar and put it in the jar so that that's I think how it gets uneven.
Yeah.
And then I had found an old Audubon. I don't know where I got the picture, and I know I should know, Lesley. I know. But this piece came, and I was like, oh, okay. When she talked about the book, I said, well, this is a memory I haven't had before. And then I have some sari silk, and I have a little piece that's me watching the birds. And, of course, I love mother of pearl buttons, so I needed to weigh it this way. And so that's my memory of my bird watching at the hatchery in Florida, and I really look forward to doing that now. So it was an event. It was not just history and family and that kind of stuff. It was you like your walks and me like the birds. And sometimes I've used them for travel, where you want to do some travel. So this one, so when I went to Indonesia in 2012, everything was Indonesia. I was, again, another place I had never been before and never even thought about it before. And here I'm in this world in Indonesia, and it's a royal world, and it's hot, and it's beautiful textiles and everything. And I'm like, well, where is this heritage? Where are these pictures? Because it was just so wonderful. So I actually found pictures of women, because I'm always about empowering women, and they were in a museum in the Netherlands, and you could download them. And so this is a book, so it doesn't always have to be a quilt. It can have a memory can have another form. So this is all of these women's. The cloud is used on sarongs a lot.
They're woven textiles.
These, I think this was a pair of shorts my mom got that were made in Bali, back in the 70s, I think. So here's these pictures, and here. So this was a memory from that travel that I did, and I took just the women in their clothing. There was royalty, there were house people, there was all level of textiles that were involved, but the women were the ones that held my thoughts, and we were able to download the photographs for free. The museum wanted you to just tell you what you were doing with them, and so I sent them copies of the book. So many of what Lesley gives you instructions on how to do can be in any format you want it to be.
Yeah.
So, all right, talk about the gallery.
So the gallery,
which is, I'm just honored to be part of that gallery.
What's very nice, and I think, what we've talked about today is memory quilts can be of many different styles, but it's beautifully done with a full picture and then a close-up picture of the quilts. But when I started looking, so here is one that her grandmother's hands. So this is really a family memory.
Yep.
This one, Linda talks about how she created a story for her quilt.
Yeah.
And it was based on a drawing, a foreign language book, and some pieces of fabric. But she created a story. So it's not a memory of anything specific, but it is a wonderful photo memory. But each one, the fiber artist tells why they have a different style, and then how they created the quilts. So there's Judy's. And flipping the pages, it was fun because I recognize as soon as I flip the page, it's like, oh, this is Lori McCown, yeah. She uses lots of vintage clothing in her memory quilts. But what I was impressed with the gallery was the breadth of style.
It's every piece is different.
Wynne Redman, she really manipulates her photos beautifully in her work. I've seen some of hers up close at Sacred Threads. Margaret does a lot of humans in hers, and how she describes how she manipulates and recolors her photos. This was a wonderful story and how she found this. Bobby Val, again, really nature manipulating your photos. So some have really manipulated the photos beyond really recognition, but more for the lines and the textures and the feeling of the photo, versus this one is actually overlaying design on it. This is a friend, Whitney, and she actually took pictures that she took on her walk and put them into an app that does a pencil sketch. And then after she printed using tap onto the fabric, she then used gelatos. She used gelatos to color her fabric and then overlaid the organza on it. This one's just beautiful. This is Susan's daughter at her graduation celebration, but she explains how she layered what fabric she used. So the explanations are beautiful. And this is what I think of,
which is just fabulous in itself. Yeah.
It's her grandmother's. And it doesn't have to be pretty. He actually took a photo that was free and photoshopped his face onto it.
That's my new motto. I love that. I'm right there with you. And this is the one where she died after the print.
She printed onto the fabric, and then she's got some shibori dyeing in it and whatever else on it. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
So, yeah. gorgeous, gorgeous book, Lesley. We're just so excited.
Very,
you can tell.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I highly, highly recommend this if you're at all
and the
interested.
other thing is,
she's in Quilting Arts.
So this, the current issue of Quilting Arts also has a very brief explanation of her process, but this is just an inkling of what you're going to get in the book.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Does Lesley have anything she wants to add?
Hasn't posted anything yet, but maybe give her a second.
Yep.
She says thank you so much.
Are there any questions from anybody else?
So if obviously you follow us on social media, but follow Lesley Riley. Again, this was from C&T Publishing.
Right.
They did an absolutely beautiful job. And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about quilt kits.
I know, we wouldn't. But one of the other things I want to say is I'll be down in Hendersonville teaching, and we're working with vintage and photos and things. So if any of you are watching who are going to attend my class down there, because I'm going to do a lecture and a workshop in May, I recommend buying the book. So for sure.
Well, get it ahead of time.
Get it ahead of time.
And kind of have some ideas of what you want to do in the class.
And any of the ideas on what to print your fabrics on, too. So
I'm sure Barb Boatman will share.
Yeah. If Barb's listening, please share the link to sign up for the class. Yes. She'll do that. Okay, kits. So,
Leslie
says she can't wait for the class.
Good.
The class is here?
Yeah.
Neither can we. Yes.
Yeah. So, Artistic Artifacts we really went to kits with a bang. We have this kit that Chris did. We have it kitted. It's with the Hope pattern with GE Designs. We have multiples. CAFE, Horizon, Art Gallery Fabrics. Tilda.
We've got several Tilda.
Several Tilda kits. So these are new items for us. And they were mentioned in the Wednesday newsletter, and then we will keep adding to them.
As fast as we can sew.
So we get a little held up on the samples. So
actually, I've got one sitting over there.
You do? Chris has been sewing away, and I'm sewing much slower. So
I don't run a store.
Yeah. So I can't think of anything else. What else we got?
What are we doing?
What are we doing next week? What are we doing next week? Won't be me. Next week I go on vacation. I can't wait. And here comes what next week is. Okay. So Kathy Lincoln, who is our own Bernina ambassador, is going to show you what you can do on a Bernina L890. So she did all of this on a Bernina L890. Bernina has a sale on serger overlockers this month, so we're hoping to inspire you. Even those of us who don't know.
So all these.
Yeah, so
that's on the overlocker, so it looks like it's hand stitched.
It is, I know, but it's not. It's a chain stitch on the bottom, which the L890 does the chain stitch. So this came from the loopers. And Kathy will explain all of that next Saturday.
And this is a Shell Rummel
fabric.
Beautiful
I love
fabric.
that stuff.
I can't wait till her new one comes out.
We'll be looking for it. So, and then the week after, the 22nd, April 22nd, also is our Charity Sew Day. So you can come and sew a pillowcase according to the Burrito pillowcase on our demonstration floor model machines, and all the pillowcases will be donated to charity, Second Story. So pillowcases are important. We have the kits. They're all cut. You're just going to come and you're going to sew. Try out the machines. Be able to learn. I mean, pillowcases. I still have friends that give their adult children pillowcases every year at Christmas. So that's there.
I still have my pillowcases that you made me.
Yep, I do. You do? That's good. I'm glad to know that. And then the 29th, Kyle is going to be giving you a store tour.
His eyes just popped out of his head.
This is the first time he's
We're not here.
We're not here. We're gone.
Glad I know that now.
So that's what we got planned. We got lots of things coming up. So we really appreciate you joining us and being part of our community. And yes?
Thursday. Oh my gosh, Thursday. Thank you, Jen.
Oh, yeah. Takes a village. Thursday evening, 7 o'clock, we will have a live sale on our app. And it is Japanese, vintage Japanese. The place is still a mess. You can still see some of it. We have kimonos, we have fabrics, lots and lots of fabrics, some special kits. Yes, so please join us on, these are like really, really special, unique ones, sabori and things. So join us for that. So usually for 24 hours we have a discount for early adapters and people who jump on things and buy it quickly. And then you can also shop other things that we've had on sale, and they will be in the app if they're still available. They just are not subject to the live night special. Discount, yeah. So, but we do have people who come back and look at that. You can watch the video. The bolts are still up there. Some batik panel kits are up there. Lots of fun things. Okay, so the other thing, I have an announcement for Astrid. She told me that I promised her I'd let her know when the clothing arrived and was priced and ready to sell. So Kyle, can you just do the scan of those are items, clothing that we're having made in India.
You might have to.
And come closer.
Yeah, because.
So just pan it. So they're available. I'm wearing one of the dresses that we have. I'm like in love with these maxi dresses. I just love them. So we do have that. This one I had on yesterday. So fun and comfortable. And of course I like wild. And then we have some tunics, which I absolutely live in. Kyle's obviously better at this. I talk too fast. So these are here. This is kind of a baby doll dress, which I have this one too. And then on the mannequin here, we have the yellow flowered block printed and a vest. So we still have some vests and a few jackets. So there they are, priced and ready to go.
How do we get the book again?
The book is online. If you go to new items, our section there, you can order the book there. As well as if you look for printables, you can find the transfer artist paper, the EQ printable cotton lawn, the organza. So those supplies are there as well.
And Sharon has put a link in the comments for those who are late joiners. You just have to scroll up to find it.
We'll also put it in the discussion tab, so it'll all be there.
Okay, she'll also put it in the discussion tab. So that'll be great. But you definitely want the book. If you're having any interest in memory quilts or books and pictures and things, it's a must-have. It needs to be in your studio. So thank you very much. I think we got it all. Please join us. Thank you for being part of our community. And thank you, Lesley, for creating a great book.
Chris, anything?
No, thanks everybody. I'll be back in a couple weeks.